I'm just waiting for it to initialize. I believe we're recording, we're live. Good evening, guys, and welcome to Behind Closed Doors. I'm hoping to be joined by a brilliant campaigner, aka Robert Spall. Really a brilliant common law man or common institution. I see Spears join us. Good evening, Spear. Just waiting for Robert to come in. He should have the link. So hopefully Robert jumps on any second soon. So I'm just coming to the end of the time I've been in Wales, and I've spent some time in Wales. Weather hasn't been absolutely brilliant, but make the most of it. And I've had a stinking cold, but this weekend I've done what I can. I've done some filming, done some bits and pieces, and I've done a brilliant thing with a guy called Tommy G, a local comedian from this area. Became friends with him during the Stridley Park Hotel protest. Brilliant guy, always up front, always out there protesting with all the guys, vocal like a lot of us are. I like Robert in some respects, very vocal, always in George Square, always in the face of the police, the courts. I think it's the sheriff's department or sheriff's office, as they called it in Glasgow. And I'm looking forward to Robert coming on and tell us what he's doing and what he's been up to. But I'm also in Scampton this weekend, where there's going to be a huge drive-by. It's going to be, I don't know how many miles it might be, but an hour. Basically, I looked at the map of it, and it's the runway section of RAF Scampton, a route all the way around the outskirts of the roads to that. Whether that it's the main road because it's on the main A15, and I see quite a few people in there. A lot of interest. It's generating a lot of interest. There's going to be lorries, cars. I think all sorts are going to join it. Maybe even some walkers, bikers. I don't know what it entails because I'm not there. So I'm still waiting for. Good evening, Roy. Good evening, Kim. Spear. I'm still waiting for Rob to jump on. I don't know if he's got the link yet. I did ask Jay to send the link. He did have an email to come on, but I did ask him to jump on, but as yet he's not in. So if it carries on for the next 15 minutes or so and Robert doesn't jump on, I just might ask the guys in the chat if they want to jump on. But it would have been nice to have heard from Robert, because I haven't spoken to him for quite a while. But I've been in Scotland and done stuff with Robert in the past. A great guy. I'm not too sure if I've had him on the show before or not, under the old format. But Robert, I class as a friend. Great campaigner. Been there for a while now. And you can always tell the diehards, the guys that stick at this throughout. We get trolled to death. We get people accused of all sorts of things, and there's a lot said and done, but the diehards, the people that know us and have been with us for quite some time, I think they know different. And in some respects, in my favour, I've got some good people that have stuck with me from the very early stages, that know me backwards and know me in and out. And it's Robert just going to join this now. Robert, you there?
Can you hear me, Alan?
Yeah, I can hear you, brother. I can hear you.
Hi, Alan. Hi, Rob. Yeah, we've got Rob in eventually, so it's all working now. That's good.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'll leave
How
you.
are we doing, Rob? Can you hear me?
How are you doing, Alan? Okay.
Yeah. Sweet sound as a pound, mate. It's lovely for you to come on. Thank you very much indeed for taking up my offer to come on the show. I mean, we've known each other quite a few years now. And you've been brilliant. You've been at the forefront. I've seen you with the Sheriff's Department office, and I've seen you in the face of the police, and many a protest, a great speaker. And I put up a post earlier on, when we go back to like the Magna Carta and the Constitutional and stuff like that, we talk about the Arbroath Agreement, basically, don't we? Scottish common law, it stems from the 13. I think it's the 1300s, isn't it? Is it the Arbroath Agreement or principle or something like that?
Well, Scottish common law is unique. It's a law within itself.
Yeah.
It's independent for English law. It's two different jurisdictions, but Scottish law is unique. But what they're trying to do is eradicate common
the
law.
Pope at the time, Robert.
Say that again.
Didn't the people, the community, actually write letters with the barons and everything else, and the kings and queens, and similar to like England? But didn't they go directly to the Pope?
I know, but it's all about control, Alan.
Yeah, we know
writing
that.
letters doesn't do it. What we actually need is a sovereign government,
Yeah.
a people government, and eradicate politicians, the House of Lords. That's the only way forward. There's no other way forward, Alan.
Yeah, but you've been at the forefront for many, many years, Robert. I mean, I've seen you serve all sorts of councils, corporations, police services, and whatever you say. I was watching G. It infuriates me sometimes when I watch GB News, because I think they're the kind of like ish, although I think they're being starting to get hacked at. But I was watching a politician the other day, and I thought at one stage they were getting people that were on side. And even the politician turned around and was saying, well, the government writes law, but the government doesn't write law. It's legislation. Legislation is not law. It's written by a regulator.
Legislation isn't law, Alan. It's not a law. It's rules, regulations, and policy created by a legal system, legal society. The problem we have here is people have been indoctrinated, including myself, until I woke up, all our lives, and the indoctrinated with fear. People have got a fear factor just now. People have to wake up and realise who and what they are. They're not a person, right? Because in Scotland, we've got a thing called the Scotland People website. And on that website, it shows you when you order an extract of a birth certificate, it shows you you have an entity ID. You get a receipt where you maybe not get that in England, but you get it here. And the illusion with the name is that people think, even with like Robert Sproul, capital R for Robert and capital S for Sproul, that's okay. There's no distinction there, but there is, because the two names, the old capital name and that name, is copyrighted by the entity known as Crown, and people have to realise that. People have to realise that we're given a given name from their mother. My given name was Robert.
Yeah.
The second name's a Crown epithet. They own that name. Yeah. The other thing that concerns me is that people go on, right, about this trust, right? I don't get involved in that. I reject that. I never accept that, right? Because the way it is in law, he who creates owns, right? They created that trust with the old capital name, right? The Crown copyright name. Nobody can claim that, because if it's copyrighted and you try to claim that, you're committing fraud. You're committing a crime. People don't realise that. And there's a lot of misinformation out there relating to this. I never accept that. I will never accept a trust. I never created that. I had no knowledge of it. How can you claim something that you didn't create?
You don't surrender. You don't give one iota. You actually go out there. You do what you need to do, and you're not feared or anything. I mean, okay, I know you know the likes of most of the guys that we know in the sense of like the John Smiths and so on and so forth. Was he any influence on you with John? Did you have anything to do with John, or?
I've worked with John in the past. I know there's a lot of people badmouthing with the common law court, and I've seen things that's happened in the last couple of months, right?
We all get that.
But
we all get that.
Me and John go back a long time, Alan, and I've got faith in John. It's just that there's a lot of unbecomings out there. Try to discredit people. You know yourself, they try to discredit you. They try to discredit myself. And you've got to stand up to these people and fight back. You've got to take on the chin. You cannot back down. I've lost my father a couple of years ago to cancer. And the reason I'm still doing what I'm doing, Alan, is because my father's he gave me 3 wishes, and one of his wishes was to get remedy for the people. But unless we get the people to pay attention and listen to the truthers that's out there that know what they're talking about, and I certainly know what I'm talking about. I've been doing this 12 and a half years, Alan. My family's been destroyed by this system. I know the ins and outs of every part of this system, how it works. And it doesn't work for the people. This system does not even like the sovereign people, right? No. They're robbing everybody. You see with the police as well. They hate the people. They abuse the people. They abuse power. Every part of this system commits misconduct in public office every day. And people need to wake up and realise that.
Sorry, Robert, I interrupted you there. And I was just looking at that bit you did earlier on where you was talking about the police constable and the police officer. One's part of the corporation. You know, and we've sort of been singing from the same hymn sheet for a long, long time about when we talk about the assisted VA, the birth certificate, and so much of the history that we did have. And even to this very, very day, constitutionally, the only people that are stopping it from happening, what gets me is that the police can still use common law when it suits them. They can use common law for assault, common assault and murder, right? So if they can use the jurisdiction within their oath of common law, why can't we use it? Because at the end of the day, when we turn around and challenge them for COVID emergency powers and regulations and legislation, which is not law, and we know it's not law, they go on the backwards. They're just servants. They're just servants of the powers that be, which is government.
They're just order followers, Alan.
Yeah.
The problem we have is that the government, the Westminster Parliament, the Scottish Government, and all governments in the entity known as UK are not sovereign. They're all registered companies in Dun and Bradstreet, private corporations. So that makes them maritime law, commerce, the law of contract. They have no power. It's all done via contract. I challenge people. People say the right to the council. People say that the right to the police services or whatever. I write to the man or woman direct at the head of the table, and I put them in the private capacity under full personal liability. And I've told them in the documents, numerous documents I've sent, I'm having quite a good success because I do things different. And I tell them in the document, one of the things I tell them in the document, that they will not escape liability using fictitious names or fictitious titles. They're getting took in the private capacity under full liability as a man or a woman, depending who I'm dealing with on the document. And I end up sending them. I do a 3 processors. A guy in Canada doing the same kind of process as me. There's only two ways that a man or woman in a legal system, legal society has jurisdiction over another man or woman, is they're claiming their property. I use the word you for this conversation. You means nothing. It's a fictitious word. That's a legal word that has you surety and liable. Claiming you their property or a contract in place, right? If there's none of the two of them, there's no man or woman can come forward and make a claim. There's no man or woman in a council will come forward and say you owe council tax debt. There's no man or woman, unless there's an injured party, man, woman, property damage, fraud, or anything else under common law. Well, that's the way it is. But the system has been manipulated to trick the people, indoctrinate the people to believe liars, and that's all they are, paid liars. Every part of this system. Alan, I have an ABC rule. Accept nothing from the legal system, legal society, or anything that represents it. They're all paid liars. Believe nothing from people in the legal system, legal society. They're all paid liars and challenge everything, no matter how big or small. That's my rules. I abide by myself, and I stick to the rules every situation I'm in.
Yeah, I've seen you on many occasions. It's something you should actually say that because, you know, like I like going around and sometimes I go to events and protests all around the country, as you know. I've been to Scotland a few times and I go up and down the country and I like me filming. I like me video filming and putting it on record because at the end of the day, our side is different to what mainstream media will put it. They won't go around and film it like we film it and say it like we will tell it or show it as it should be done. None of it's on the mainstream media or television, all this crap that we see. And I was in London several weeks back and they were closing the pen down opposite Downing Street. And I said to this copper, I said, what you nicked him for? And he turned and said, a breach of the peace. And then he said, he spat at me, sir. I said, aren't you arresting him under the wrong jurisdiction? Shouldn't it be assault on persons rather than breach of the peace? And I said, whose peace did he breach? He just turned around and walked away. Don't want to engage with you if you know a little bit and you can argue back with them.
As I say, they're all paid liars, Alan. People have to realise that you cannot trust these people, any people in this system. They're not there for the people. They're not there to give services. You see what's happening with the people landing on boats, right? People are shouting, refugees welcome, right? That's fair and well, right? But it's not these people that's paying for it. We, as 4 jurisdictions of the sovereign people, they're footing the bill for everything, right? We've got problems here they can't deal with. Like we've got that guy, the First Minister of Scotland, Hume's a useless, I call him, because that's what he is. He was a health minister. He done nothing, achieved nothing. He was a justice minister. He done nothing, achieved nothing. And it's the same as a First Minister. He's wanting to bring between 10 and 20,000 Palestinians over here. I've not got an issue with that, right? but we can't look after our own people. We can't get hospital appointments. We can't get dental appointments. People are dying unnecessarily. And the people out there that's losing family members are listening to paid liars, doctors telling them this is happened, that's happened, there's complications. They're lying. Now, it came to my attention today, a prime example of the lies. 600,000 vaccinations have been sent to Palestine to inject their sons and daughters. How bad is that? Right? They're still continuing with this. And people don't realise this new world government are trying to come in with, the new world order, the WEF and the WHO. They've no power. They're not elected. They've no power. They're just organisations. Who's making the claim that they've got the power over yourself, Alan, myself, my family, or any people in the lands of Scotland, England, Ireland, or Wales? They don't have that power.
Yeah, good point. And I've seen it myself, and I've seen it especially. I was filming at Scampton, where they're going to use a heritage centre at Scampton, which was home to the Dam Busters, and at one stage home to the Red Arrows, and so. And there was a black Labrador, and dare we say it, through what's happened in there, the people were using the name Trigger when it was something completely different because it was a black Labrador. And then there wasn't this race element, was every single thing we say or do nowadays, we are wrong. And at the end of the day, there was people there, and even the fire engine was there, and they're saying refugees are welcome here. And I turned around and said, and I got barracked a little bit, and the police were pushing me out of the way. And I said, well, yeah, refugees might be welcome here, genuine refugees, genuine asylum seekers, if they've got something to offer this country, if they're engineers, if they're doctors, if they're nurses, if they've got something to offer this country. The people that haven't even got a passport coming over on rubber dinghies haven't got anything to offer this country, right? So how can you be turning around and saying refugees are welcome here when it's all about illegal immigrants, right? And if you're so interested in these illegal immigrants, why don't you put them in your house?
Well, that's quite funny. You said that about 10 months ago when I was in the street. They set up a canopy, and it was socialism, some socialist mob. And that's what they were saying, refugees welcome, right? I get one Anti-Corruption Scotland, one of the women in Anti-Corruption Scotland go over and say, I say, that's on the question. And that's exactly what they asked them. Are you prepared to take them into your house? So the guy looked at her and he didn't answer. I says, well, answer the question. Are you prepared to feed them, keep them, wash them, and use your facilities? And he wouldn't answer the question. I says, no, I don't think so. But you want everybody else. I says, I've got nothing against any people, right? But these people are no war torn. I don't care. They're not for war torn countries, Alan. These are people that's going to be used against us. Where do you ever see boats upon boats of men coming across the channel? See the way to solve that problem. If I was in power, right? You've got ships out there patrolling the waters. You see a boat coming towards your lands, hook up and pull it back to where it came from because they're out there anyway. Do not let them get near the lands, right? I don't care what people think of me, what I'm saying. I'm no racist. But we've got people here with problems. Charity begins at home. That's the problem. We worry about everybody else's problems and forget we're on. That's the thing.
And like you said, we've got 2.2 million, right? 2.2 million pensioners, elderly people that are on the poverty line. It's either heat or eat. They've got to go without one or the other to either be fed or stay warm. And they're sitting there with either blankets, draped in blankets around them, or fleeces, or heaters, or whatever the case might be, or water bottles and things like that. It should not be like that in this day and age, that these coming over on these dinghies are getting everything. Now, I'm still in Wales, and I was, funny enough, you should say that, I did a little live from Stridey Park Hotel where there was the government or the Home Office pulled out of putting illegal immigrants into a Stridey Park Hotel here in Wales. Now, I went there today just to see an update and do some filming there for myself as I'm in the area, and I thought, well, I'll just go there and see. And I still don't trust. At the end of the day, I have different reasons for my broken trust in the government with what happened to me in child abuse. And where is there remedies for our children that have been through so much? How comes these people can come into this country and get everything, yet we haven't got our Prime Minister, our MPs haven't got the brass neck to stand up in Parliament in the lobby and turn around and say, I think a public inquiry should be held into the abuse that happened in Scotland Northern England, Ireland, Wales, Jersey, or wherever it happened, there are people that have gone to their death that have suffered psychological, physical, and mental damage more so than any of these alleged people from these war-torn countries, which they're not. You know, the whole thing is a farce, and we, the taxpayer, are paying for the whole shebang. We have got to suffer all the injustices and all the stuff. I was looking at something the other day. Maggie Thatcher sold off, I think, the water industry for, I think, a £5 billion loss. I was looking at the facts today. The water industry is worth 80 billion to this day. So why isn't it in the public sector? Why all these private companies that are pumping raw sewage into our seas and doing everything they can? It's all about money.
100%. The problem we've got, Alan, the entity known as UK government is 26.6 trillion in debt, a debt that will never be cleared. And people don't realise every month they're borrowing more money for this debt, and they're squandering money on shit that doesn't affect this country. It gives everybody else. And at the end of the day, Alan, I see myself and yourself and everybody else from the sovereign lands of England, Ireland, Wales and Scotland. We're the refugees. We're second class in our own lands. People come over here, right, and they're getting all sorts of money. And I'm not being racist here. I'm just telling you how I see it, right? When we have people lying in the street, ex-servicemen lying in the street, as you said, pensioners, eat or heat, deprivation and poverty. I know a family that has, the man and the wife has 3 jobs, right? And they work hard. They're doing a lot of hours, right? I'll not mention who they are. And at the end of the month, when they go to pay their bills, they pay their bills. But guess what, Alan? They're eating out of food bank. The woman that talked to me recently says to me, I don't know if I can get my Wayne's Christmas. That was before Christmas. I've never spoke to them since. So I need to do a wee catch up. It's bad that people have got to work, kill themselves in the process with all these foreign corporations that's taking over our lands, and then eat out of food bank. They're just barely keeping their mortgage paid, paying their bills, and not being able to feed themselves. That's terrible. That should never happen. No here in this day and age. We come first, Alan, as far as I'm concerned. Charity begins at home, and people need to wake up and realise the difference of what's going on here. People are just blind. They don't want to know. It does my head in. Anyway, relating to the canopy in the town, what I says to the guy is, right, you're not going to answer the question. So what did I do? I went on the loud tail and I slated them. See, within 2 minutes, their canopy was done and they were off. They bolted. Embarrassed them. I really made a mockery of them, and they had to go. They couldn't stand there because of
You are very, very vocal.
That's the only way to be, Alan. If you're right, you're right. The truth hurts. A lot of people don't like the truth, but I don't care. People say, why do you do what you do? I do it because it's right. I don't ask for money, fund me's or anything. I do it with my heart and soul. Good intention, good heart, good mind. And I know what I'm talking about. Right? And I'll take anybody in the legal system, including Rishi Sunak, Sadiq Khan, put him in the street with me and I'll destroy him with words. I'll destroy him. They have no power over the sovereign people. England, Ireland, Wales or Scotland.
And it's funny you should say that as well, because in so many cases, it's funny how you actually start to notice it more and more and more and more. And you sometimes say, hang on, they're calling me a conspiracy theorist. You can't win in one court because the judge might not want to go the way that you want it to go. So what you'll do is move it to another jurisdiction under a limited company basis to try and get a different verdict. And I've seen that more and more and more. And all they're trying to do, and it's all about money. They're not judges. They're debt collectors or revenue collectors.
Exactly. The thing in the matter is, it's all corporations. There's nothing sovereign there anymore. And people have to realise that. The problem we've got is people don't know what and who they are. They think they're a person. A person is a bit of paper. As it tells you on the extract or the birth certificate, person cannot use this for identity. It's a record of an event. And at the top left-hand the corner, it's copyrighted, crown copyrighted. So if people can't use that for identification, whose is it? It's definitely not the man or woman's. Because a person doesn't exist. A person only exists on paper, Alan. That's a fact.
It's funny, you know, because a friend of mine is actually in the chat, Charles and Spencer. You probably know Charles. He's good common law man. He does the show with Delroy on the Tuesday night on They're Very Good Common Law Guys. And he's got paperwork that is still sealed in wax and string and tied together. I'm trying to think of the name they call it, but it's paperwork in Ukraine because he married a Ukrainian. His wife is Ukrainian. But the laws there were saying, because when you go into other countries, you have this visa policy where you've got to wait for so much, blah, blah, blah. And I think to myself, hang on, and we have to abide by all these rules and regulations when we go into other countries, yet these people are coming across in boats. And I just don't understand the logic to it all, where we have to agree to and obey the rules and regulations of every other country what we go to, right? And yet people can come into this country and they just take every one of our rules and regulations, as they call it, or on the inalienable rights that we are part of the sovereign land, and just have no respect for our culture at all.
Well, you see that down the road. They're all fighting the other day. I was watching a couple of videos on TikTok somebody sent me, and they're all fighting and among themselves, right? This system is allowing this to happen deliberately. They want this. They want an all-out civil war in the lands of England, Ireland, Wales, and Scotland. They're trying to push to get unrest because these people that sit in hotels, they're not sitting there for the good of their health. They're there for a reason. And numerous people in hotels have admitted they're United Nations soldiers, as you're aware. Now, the way to stop this nonsense is don't give them nothing. Right? This sounds harsh. Give them no benefit, no medical care. Give them nothing. They don't entitle to because they're putting nothing into the system. Who are they? Put it this way, Alan, if we were to go to their country and do what they done here, do you think we would get away with that? We would be deported or murdered, one of the two, but would it be happening? We wouldn't get anything. Right? And I'm not being racist, I'm being direct. And it's not an opinion, it's a fact.
Where's our NHS system? Where's our dental service? Where's everything that we should be getting? We can't get it, yet they can see doctors straight away. They can get an ambulance straight away, or they have an ambulance standing by, or they have an ambulance at Dover, or something like that. As soon as they come off the boat, yet we could be waiting up to the trip, and people have died waiting for an ambulance.
I know, it's terrible what's going on. It needs to stop. People need to start really understanding what's going on here, right? Everything isn't what it seems. We've got an illusion of a false democracy. We have no democracy. That's a fact. As I said, I believe I'm a refugee in my own country where I was born and bred, and that's wrong for me to feel that way, right? I know people that get appointments for cancer put back 9 months, right? And some of them are stage 4 cancer, the most deadly cancer you can get, stage 4. My father had that. The funny thing is, I'm not competent in the hospitals because my father went into hospital with stage 3, and within 5 days he was at stage 4. To be truthful, Alan, I think they helped my father on his way. It's terrible. You can't trust these people. I know a lot of people is fear to go to a hospital because down in what you call, there's a hospital called the Southern General, or Queen Elizabeth it's now called. More people are getting in there and less people are coming out. People are shit scared to get into a hospital. The doctors, you need to take a phone call and the doctor will interview you on a Zoom call to see how you are. That's a nonsense. That needs to be stopped. They get paid with public money, the people's purse. This is the thing people have to realise, Alan. The people are the funders of everything, right? The government have no money, right? If you were to get a sovereign government, right, and get rid of all these politicians in the House of Commons, the national debt would disappear. We did not create the debt, and we, the people, did not consent to the debt. We filled in no contracts or terms and conditions to accept a debt. They're using the fictitious name, the Crown copyright name, the corporation to do this. Yeah. And their system is based on presumption. Everything's based. When you walk into one of their administrative hearings, when you walk in what they call the dock, I've had that out with the judge umpteen times. I call it a box. It's a square box to me. I don't know. I don't recognise the dock. And I'm not getting it. I stand behind it. When you walk in there, they don't hear you, they don't see you, and they don't recognise you. And I was confirmed in a court in Paisley Sheriff Court when I was fighting a judge. And that's what he told me. And I looked up at him and I smiled at him and I says, thank you for that. And he just had realised what he had said to me. So now I don't go in the dock.
Yeah, and it's amazing what you're actually seeing, and exactly bang on what you're saying is how we have become almost a forgotten people that I mean, when you see what the worst thing about it is that the government, the last two prime ministers that we have been non-elected, right? The way this country has gone, and hey, let me just let the dog out because it's scratching like mad at this door. Hang on a minute. Let me just let it. Sorry about that. It's scratching like mad at the door to try and get out. And the things that you see that go on in this country are absolutely, they put the election back by 6 months till next October. What they got planned, and a lot of people will call us conspiracy theorists and so on. There's something going to happen this year, without a question of a shadow of a doubt. They've got something planned for them to put the election back by 6 months without the consent of the people. Now, we've waited 13 years. Some people waited 13 years to see a change. Not everybody's going to get their way, and they get another term of office. Then they get another term of office, and then you think to yourself, what is going on for these people to keep winning an election? Are they winning an election, or is it all fraud? Is it all done underhanded? Is it all like we know the postal rigging, the postal ballot is rigged, absolutely rigged. We know that's all fraud, and we know a lot of what's going on. But the thing that annoys me, Robert, with all of this is we don't see any of their manifesto that get them into power in the first place actually come on board. It's all broken up policies to get elected.
The thing about a manifesto is it's a promise to do something, right? They can put as many manifesto pledges on a bit of paper, it means nothing. Look they've got a manifesto, but look what's happened in the nearly 4 years since they've been in power.
Yeah,
they've just lied and added because people are under the illusion if they register to vote that they're going to get democracy. You're giving consent. You don't get your rights. You get legal rights that they determine is if your rights have been breached. They'll tell you, or they'll tell you they've not been breached. What you're losing is your inalienable and inherent rights, and the law's inherent within, no right from wrong. But when you register to vote, you're getting privileges. The driving license is a privilege. The passport is a privilege. Your benefit is a privilege. Everything is that's why they use the word, it's not a benefit, it's a privilege. They can take it away from you any time because they treat everybody as a person that doesn't exist. Right? It's all fraud. Constructive fraud and identity theft for the man or woman, right? With their property, their name, their given name, right? That's why when you fill in forums in black ink, that's a sign of the dead, Alan. I verify that because I've had it umpteen times with the courts. I produced stuff done in Bradstreet. I've produced in my paperwork the entity ID, the birth certificate. On the back of the birth certificate, I write corp oration in all capitals. Legal person, dead speak, no life, and fraud. And I submit that as an exhibit. And I do the same with the Crown copyright receipt. I also rebut the 12 presumptions of law. I've done a video on the 12 presumptions of law. That has to be rebutted because when you go to these so-called Mickey Mouse kangaroo courts, if you don't rebut these 12 presumptions, they stand in law. It's what it is the bar. It's business. I've had 2 judges in my cases that I got paperwork to do a list on judges, and 2 of them, there were 5 on the list. 2 of them in my cases were ex-procurator fiscals. One was a crown specialist in the proceeds of crime. So if he's on the bench and I'm up against him and his pals in front of me, the procurator fiscal, how can you win a case? How can you get justice? That's the question you've got to ask. They're not there for justice. It's just tyranny. There is no justice. Every part of this system is tyrannous, Alan.
Yeah, bang on. I don't know if you can see the chat. At the bottom of our screen, we've got like a mic where you can, you can mute yourself, you can take your camera off, and then at the bottom you've got a hand up. You've got the question mark, kind of like a little box, your kind of speaky window, and then you've got participants where 6. Well, that little speaky window is. People are putting stuff in the chat. Charles is putting there, I was there in Paisley with you, Robert, and John Smith. That's Charles Ernest Spencer. So I don't know if you know Charles or remember Charles, and he'll always use
the name rings a bell.
Charles Ernest. Very, very
the
good
name rings a bell.
Man like yourself. And then Roy's put in there, the government have caused loss, harm and injury and fraud past and present against the sovereign people of our lands. And various people in there, evening to everyone that's come into there, Kim, Sophie, Spear, Charles, Roy. I'm just saying, looking just through the chat just to see who's in there. Yeah, just having a look at some of the guys. And Charles has even put in the end there. I always sign in blue ink.
Blue ink is contract. Black ink is for the dead. Red ink is blood. When I type up a document, I do it in blank ink, blue ink, and I'll put at the end there, verified by a living man, Robert.
Yeah.
Verified date, and I put a red thumbprint on it.
Do we? Because at that stage,
because that's you identifying yourself as a man.
We're doing the thumbprint on the stamp, and I bought, I think, of 50p's worth of 1p stamps when you could still get them, and I see it's now Rex rather than Regina that we've gone from Elizabeth to Charles, but I haven't seen too many stamps of Charles, and I'm fed up. And like you, I do not open lettered envelopes or brown envelopes, or if I see the orange lines and on, I just turn around and say unrecognisable, send return back to PO box, and I won't address or open anything that's a PO box and fraud and a way of making money and corporation, and I've just called it mail fraud, and I just return it back. I covered up the address window which they've got to me, the lettered window. I will not have it at all. And I quote the Universal Postal Union in Bern and turn around and saying, see, because that's another thing they did as well. Because Oliver Durden, a Conservative MP, was the Postmaster General, right? Another role to their alleged but they don't act in that professional role as Postmaster General. It's all part of the system as we know it, a corrupt system, which suits them down to the ground. I mean, you look at what we pay for them in Parliament alone, in their bar and in their meals and in their... I mean, they were claiming I saw something the other day, something ridiculous. £1.10 was even claimed back on their expenses. And I thought to myself, me and you wouldn't think twice about not even looking at probably anything up to probably a £5. But these guys will claim every single thing they can, and that their bills are being paid. They ain't got to worry about their heating bills or anything. It's all being paid by the taxpayer. So what's this Spears?
Everything is paid by the taxpayer. The government's getting no money.
Ain't no way I'm licking the king's backside. Did you hear that?
I know. The thing is, well, Alan, right, you talk about Queen Elizabeth and King Charles, right? The people that believe in King Charles, right, fair dues, they believe in it, right? But what they don't realise is they're subjects. A subject, he is classing the people as persons, and he is their master. He's not my master. Let me tell you, nobody in the royal family, I don't care about the royal family, right? Because it's nothing to do with me. They have no bearing in my life. These people, with the amount of money and wealth they've stole off the people, should be paying their own bills. The tax man or woman paying for the public purse, I won't say taxpayer because taxpayer's a person. The man or woman paying for the public purse to fund these people have been ripped off, right? They've got enough wealth to pay themselves. It's all a scam. The Buckingham Palace, if you get it done in Bradstreet, is registered as a private corporation.
Yeah.
There you go.
And again, talking about royalty, what have they ever done for the children per se? What haven't they been a part of some of the historic abuse that's happened in this country with the likes of Mountbatten and many, many others? I've looked at many a politician going back to the Thatcher years, to the Theresa May, and even Theresa May. I was looking at Herbert Brazier, her father, her own father was an abuser in the Catholic Church. And he goes back to the 40s. How long have we have to go back to find this paedophile ring that exists in Westminster?
The thing in the matter, Alan, the system is run by paedophiles. That's why when you see people getting arrested, I work with Mandy for Exposed Scotland. She's got the evidence, right? Pictures of police officers, police constables, politicians, and all the rest of it been convicted. Now, when a police officer or constable is arrested for downloading images or abuse, what the people don't realise is even though they get suspended, they're suspended on full pay. So they're basically being paid to abuse, right? What's happening here is this system is abusing the people, and the people is allowing it to harm because they're paying this system to abuse them, right? And that's the thing. We have to put an end to the legal system and put in a sovereign system. And the only way forward is a sovereign government. That's the only answer, right? It can be done. It can be achieved, right? We need the numbers. We can do it. It's not a problem. We just have to remove them. Shut down West.
It's funny you should say that. Let me just come on to
something
here.
Because they're getting £300 a day for signing a book.
Yeah.
Give me £50 a day and I'll come down and sign it.
And ribbon cutting and you name it, or even a speech. Do you know what I mean? How much money are these guys raking in right, left, and centre? I called Andrew Bridgeton up outside Parliament one day when I was there with the PCP girls for the sexualisation of children in schools. And I actually tried to get an interview with him. I did get an interview. I spoke to him for a little while. And he said, you want to try and work in there? And I thought, well, hang on a minute. Wasn't you a part of the scandemic or pandemic to start off with? And suddenly you've changed your tune. Listen, whether he's good, bad, or indifferent, I'm still I'm sceptical at them all, because at the end of the day, what have they ever done for us apart from lining their own pockets?
Exactly. The thing is, well, Alan, there's a conflict of interest, right? Because these people have businesses, and they behind closed door are doing shady deals. They're reckoning the amount of expenses. I bet you at Christmas and New Year, it was the people's purse that paid for their parties and their drink and their food.
But you look at it, almost like the school term. Almost like the school term, they get all that holiday in the summer. They get the Easter holidays. They get the Christmas holidays, and they're getting a huge salary now, right? Which most of the common people would never see an £86,000 a year salary. Plus, they probably double that on their expenses, and with their private enterprises and the private work they're doing, like you've just turned around and said, they could be bringing £200,000 or £300,000 in a year. I know that it sounds crazy to say that, but these people don't live in the real world. When was the last time they stood at a bus stop? When was the last time they actually walked through a council estate? When was the last time there was a mosque side, or in Scotland, or George Square, or somewhere like that, or some of the rougher parts of the area where people have to live on a daily basis looking over their fucking shoulder all the time?
I know. This thing about the WEF and the WHO is all about control. They don't have the power to do this, and the people have to do not comply. They have not got to comply. They don't have to comply, because these people, what man or woman for these organisations is going to come forward and say that they have power over another man or woman? None of them. It can't be done. That's a fact.
But it infuriates me, though. I really do get infuriated when I've gone through. I've been, this yourself, I've been in the Home Office, I've been in Parliament, I've written to every single MP, and I get fucking letters back by saying that, excuse my French, but I get letters back turning around and saying, you're not from my constituent, blah, 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 take it up with your own MP. And I think, hang on a minute, what's to stop you? And I actually said to my constituency MP, you, to do your job properly, need to stand up in Parliament and say, I want a public inquiry held into the historic child abuse that happened in Beechholm, which was running from the 1800s. And, you get, no matter what you say, we could talk until the cows come. We could talk about London County Council. That was split up for a reason, because it went into like local councils and the borough councils and you name it, and they all were made sort of like private. All they were doing is just passing the buck and moving the goalposts and making it harder for people like Tony Blair turning around and putting the 100-year rule on children not being able to get their papers.
They don't have that power. People have to wake up, right? The people are the power. The people are the authority. And as soon as the people realise who and what they are, then we'll be fine.
Well, you know as well as I do, Robert, there are people still walking around with masks. There are still people watching BBC News and believing every fucking word that's coming across that TV screen. Television, as me and you would call it, right? It's not television, it's television. And they're sitting there and they've been absolutely fucking brain absorbed by what's coming from that box. Do you know, that fucking musical box or whatever you want to come in. And like fucking even GB News, it isn't fucking the full Monty, but people think it's the great Messiah and the fucking new media. It's not. It's part of the fucking problem, because what have we got? You've got people on there that have been part of the problem, that were claiming to have changed the error of their ways. But at the end of the day, the system is fucking fundamentally fucking broken. It's rip-off Britain. It's fucking corporate Britain. It's fucking also. It's just broken Britain.
You're right there. It's broken, destroyed, and they're destroying it. They want to do what they're doing. There's an agenda, a global agenda, and people have to waken up to it, because if they don't waken up to it, we've got a problem. Because the 15-minute size are trying to bring in the digital currency and all the rest of it, face recognition, the 20-mile zones. It's a nonsense. Who's making the claim that they've got that authority over the people's land? They're trespassing on the lands, and they're trespassing on the people's rights to travel from point A to point B. Are they claiming they own the air? Are they claiming they own the roads? Are they claiming they own the lands? There is no man or woman in any part of this legal system, legal society, can come forward and make that claim, because it can't be done, and that's a fact.
What you asked that same question, Robert? You turned around and said, "Well, what came first? What came first, the road tax or the camera tax?" And we got to this stage now. I think the Ulis, when they brought that out back in August, in the first month alone, it paid all this bollocks about Transport for London and all that shit. It's only because the government don't want to pay it. They want people to fucking pay. You go one wheel over a bus lane, you get a fucking ticket. And you're talking about the AMPR cameras or the facial recognition cameras. The ring of steel that used to be for the 70s when we had the IRA, the terrorists, and so on and so forth. The thing of that to all about the corporation and securing the city of London, the ring of steel, so on and so forth. That's where the AMPR camera originated from, until it became something on our motorway, something the police use. And now it's been adapted so well with technology to facial recognition. Now it pings on a fucking motorway or a road when you fucking drive past if they want your attention, if they fucking put you in their jurisdiction. And now they've got it to the stage that if you're walking down the street and you're wanted on something on one of their rules and not the fucking truth, that'll ping again.
Exactly. The thing as well that annoys me, I went to Asda a while back, and I'm watching these people standing in front of these self-checkouts, and they don't realise that their identity has been stolen without their consent. They're accepting it. And I pulled one of the security guards up. I said, "See this here? This nonsense." He's like, "What are you talking about? Nonsense?" I said, "That's what it is. Why are you stealing people's identity?" "No, we're not." I said, "Well, what's the purpose of watching people on a camera and filming everything they do when they're standing in front of that machine and getting their face?" He says, "It's to stop people from stealing." I says, "Are you having a laugh?" I says, "What sort of cameras in the shelf is that? Not their job." I said, "You've got scanners at the door. If somebody steals something, there's a barcode and it'll set the alarm off." I say, "So you're standing there lying. You're a disgrace to be in that Mickey Mouse uniform. Who are you to take people's identity? You've not given them full disclosure. They have no contract with Asda. All the people are doing is coming in there requiring services. And that's their choice. But people should challenge this, stay away from the recognition, self-checkouts, and go to a counter and keep the cash. We have to keep cash because the banks are out the madam now. I'm going to do a video shortly, Alan, and it's relating to how much of your money is safe. Example, a quick example. If you've got 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, half a million in the bank, if the bank goes under, any bank goes under, you're guaranteed to get £85,000 back. And that includes numerous names on the account. If it's a joint account, it only covers 185 grand. Yeah. People don't realise what's going on here because they're blind. They're walking about to
people. When you lose it, you're going to fucking lose the lot. You know, you're going to get, to me, offering you a fucking carrot and stick type of cliche is nothing. And like you were saying about everything else is going to, I like to watch some of these auditors and they do it for a reaction. They do it to see how the police react. And then people, and sometimes the police, you can't film me, it's against my data protection and all that. These fucking idiots don't realise they're being filmed not only in the workplace, but every time they walk down any street or go into any fucking shop, right? They are so fucking beyond the fucking, out of the equation, they haven't got a clue. Because they don't realise their liberty has already been taken. They don't need to worry about somebody holding up a fucking phone or a camera and filming them when they're filming another subject. In actual fact, and the reaction they do get from the police, half of them don't know their own fucking laws.
Exactly.
Some
of them can't even quote the law.
I've often said to a copper, I said, so you protect and you are firmly afraid. And when they look back at you and turn around and say, yeah, and I said, so who are you serving at the end of the day? When we're talking about harm, loss, or injury, what offence has been committed, blah, 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 blah. They don't 9 times out of 10 have any fucking jurisdiction or any reason apart from legislation to fucking stop you.
I know. Again, legislation is not a law. It's a fraud. The people have to realise that, and people have to stand up and be counted and listen to people like yourself, myself, and other people. Last says to a guy, there's a guy went to court about 2 weeks ago. 4 days before I was going to help him with the paperwork, he's following a guy, somebody called Christopher, is claiming to be a federal judge.
Yeah.
He's used the paperwork 4 times, and the last time he went into court, he had a judicial notice, and he told me that he was going to throw it on the floor and serve it on what he called the judge. And I said, see, the minute you do that, you're going to light a fire. He said, what do you mean? I said, you're being disrespectful. We go in there standing in honour. You do that, you're causing yourself trouble. So anyway, he's acting a goat outside the court. I've got 3 people for Anti-Corruption Scotland and myself to witness the case because I knew it was coming. I said, this isn't a game. You're going to end up in the jail, right? You're going to lose your freedom. No. I said, because you've got away with it 3 times, you dare us today you're not getting away with it a 4th time. I'm telling you now, listen to somebody who knows what they're talking about, right? I can back up everything I tell you because I do it. I don't just say it, I do it.
Yeah.
So he's went out of court, and I went and sat down, and the next thing he's flung this document on the floor, and he says to the man, it was a magistrate with a legal advisor, you're served. And I've looked at him and I've said to myself, you're an idiot. What are you doing, right? So the man on the bench says to him, that's not the way you serve papers in a court. So I've looked at the man on the bench, and I've looked at him, and I says to myself, he's going to jail. So anyway, he was niggling with the judge about the name. He was getting the name, but he was putting it in colons this and colons that, right?
Fucking hell.
And he gave a middle name, right? So what happened then is they adjourned the case. The 2 of them, as people say, abandoned ship. As far as I'm concerned, they've just adjourned the case. I don't see abandoned ship, right? Because this is how there's no abandoned ship. So we sat in the waiting area, ready to be called. On the way out, I says, there were 3 coppers came into the court, and I says, you're not going to arrest him. What are you going to arrest him for? Nothing to do with you. I says, I'm a witness to this man being here, right? It's plenty to do with me. He says, yeah. I says, you're going to arrest him. Don't tell us what we're going to and not going to do. I says, I'm asking you a question, answer the question, right? I don't need to answer nothing. I says, okay. So I said something on the way out the door. I was making sure he was coming to the court. The copper says to me, excuse me. I turned around to the copper and I says, no, you're not excused. You're dismissed. You hear me, Constable? Bolt your steamer. I went to the waiting area. We're sitting. He started panicking. He says, what do I do now? I says, I told you what to do 4 days before you came here, to lodge the papers in the case file and prepare the paperwork. It would have been done. I've got the stuff to do it. I said, but you've just made a bollocks. We're walking into the court and throwing it in the flare. You'd have been better throwing him a bone and say fetch. I said, you're dishonour. So anyway, within 10 minutes, 3 coppers have landed at the waiting area and says, you're coming with us. So he's like, so one Anti-Corruption Scotland, one Anti-Corruption Scotland, a woman called Allan Merit says to them, where's the warrant? They didn't have a warrant, right? So they say, you're either coming freely or you're going to be taken. So I says to them, you need to go, mate, because they're going to take you. They're corrupted the court in here. And one of the coppers came on to me and I was right in his face. I lose the rag with him, right? I don't know how I didn't, to tell you the truth, I don't know how I belt him for his cheek, right? I says, I know the corruption in here, right? It was one of the ones that interacted with me away back when I was getting to jail, right? And he says, no, he says to me, I know you do. They took him anyway. As far as I know, right, he's either been remanded. He's still to come by court. Now, what people don't realise, see, that when you accept the bail conditions, well, you've not really got a choice as a person. You've got to know how to play the game. And he played it wrong, right? At the bottom of the papers, it tells you if you don't appear, you'll be sentenced in your absence. So I'm thinking point 2 is, he's went down there the next day, done the same shit, and they've not recognised him, not seen him, not heard him, and sentenced him in his absence and give him a sentence. Or the worst scenario is, they've sectioned him. Yeah. Because nobody else, I phoned up the court to get what court he was in, they wouldn't tell me nothing. I've asked them to secure a camera evidence to show that he was in court that day, wouldn't they do it? I've reported to the police, the entity known as Police Scotland. Professional standards are supposed to be coming to me. They're blanking me. They've sent me a Mickey Mouse email and I can't get it. It's undeliverable. I've wrote to the Judicial Office at the High Court. I've wrote to the Crown Office. They're saying that they can't do nothing. I need to report to the police. These people are covering each other's back, people. And you need to waken up and smell the coffee. They don't work for the people.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's something I do, Robert. I've tended to do now. Where I get these lettered windows, I will not entertain full stop per se. I will not have them at all. But what I will say, again, capital letters, if I see anything in capital letters, again, I will not entertain it. That's not my birth fucking name. You know, it's not my birthright. And they put me in a fucking fiction and or a straw man fucking scenario. But what I tend to fucking myself, if I'm going to write, like if I'm going to, you go to some courts now and they won't accept paperwork and all that. So what I tend to do is track and trace and sign it so you can actually track it all the way so the person that actually signs it basically served them.
The thing of the matter is as well,
use their own laws against them, and where they don't use case law or case precedents, you try and look for something as like Majensky versus others or Rice versus Connolly, whatever case law or case precedents there is out there, you try and look for that remedy first before. And every case is, there are undertones, because you know as well as I, we've talked about the maritime law and the colonialism of this country and what we fucking done with our admiralty laws and taken them to the fucking land and controlled the fucking lands with the laws from the sea, dead and lost at sea. We know our courts are like ships surrounded by fucking water. You can't cross the bar. You're represented by the fucking dead, and the judge sits up like the captain of the ship. All the scenarios that we fucking know about and we notice, they still try the fucking old chestnut. They're still, it's so fucking broken. It's unbelievable.
Well, there's a question for you, Alan, right? Your name's Allan Merit, right?
Yeah.
How do you define the all capital name Allan Merit with the other name, the Crown copyright name with the first letter uppercase, first name, second letter uppercase, second name? You cannot define it. That's where people think that if they just don't use a whole capital name. I've heard that numerous times that everything's okay. Oh, they put my first name up one letter uppercase, my second name up one letter uppercase, right? It's still Crown copyright, right? Now, the two key questions, right? There's two answers here. There is nobody in the legal system, legal society, can prove that you're that person in the act. And secondly, where does that act apply to a living man or woman when you know who and what you are?
Yeah, that's a fucking really good. Do you know what? I never even thought about the capital A as Alan or and then the capital M part of being the same sort of fucking getting you into a sign or getting you contractually into their fucking remit. What I want to say to you before, we've only got probably about a few minutes left, but I would like to say, I don't know if you can see where the chat is on the screen below.
I cannot, no.
If you've got a link,
Alan, I cannot see it.
Where people can follow you, if you send it to me in Messenger, I will put it on my wall. Because what I'll do is I'll send you a copy of the show tonight. I'll send that out to you tomorrow so you can share on your profile as well. I will share it out to about 50 groups to build up your numbers. And like I do with some of the shows on Wake Up, I'll put them out and share them out to about 50 groups. Facebook don't fucking like that and turn around and send a gun against their community fucking standards. I always appeal. Sometimes it gets me somewhere, sometimes I don't. Because then I turn around and saying, then you're going against Article 10 or 11 or whatever the case might be in whichever jurisdiction they fucking choose to put me under. And on the case, some of the other cases, they can't fucking go against your inalienable human rights. And we are still, like the fucking boat people who are playing this tune of their fucking human rights, we've also got human rights. And they don't fucking always adhere to our human rights, but we seem to be at the mercy of every fucking body else in the world. So
Alan, can I say something, my friend?
Where we can either follow you, and the guys can follow your link, because there are guys that are interested in you. Charles would probably like to touch base with you sometime. We can, get people to sort of start following you and Mandy or whatever the case might be, and give you a bit more support, because to me, you've been out there from fucking day, like you say, 12 years, and you've never altered. You've always been that same fucking person. You've been in the faces of a lot of these people, and you've been locked up as well.
I have. I've had my door kicked in. They've destroyed my family with the social services based on lies, fabrication of truth. I've challenged the courts. I went in, I got myself to jail. I went in with a hidden camera to one of the court cases for my sister, and I said to her before I went in, I'm going to get locked up. I don't know when, but I'm getting locked up. She's like, what do you mean? I said, I'm getting in here with a camera. I don't care. This has to be exposed, and I did. On the day I put the video up, I get 24,000 views. It was took down. Within 5 days, my door was kicked in. I was arrested. No, my computers and hard drives were stolen. It took me 2 years to get them back because I exposed them.
Yeah.
People have to realise what's going on here, Alan. It's terrible.
Yeah. It's a shame when you see it, though, Rob, when you see that the people are still believing the unbelievable, if that makes any sense at all. And on a final note, before we go, I hope you'll come back on the show again in the near future. I hope to be able to do something with you and come up and support you because, well, as far as I'm concerned, not only are you a friend, I think you're a great campaigner. And if I can share the same stage as you or stand even next to you, to me, that is an undertaking that I will fulfill any day of the week with you.
What I would want to do, Alan, is just to verify something here for the people to understand. I'm a true warrior, and I'm not blowing my own trumpet here. I stand, and I'm prepared to go the distance to get locked up to prove the point, and they know that. They are terrified for me and my knowledge because I've worked so hard for the last 12, come up for 12 and a half years. I've lost my father in the process, and I will not back down because when you're right, you're right. And on principle, it doesn't matter if you get locked up, you never back down because if I was to back down, there's two things would happen. Everything I've done for the last 12 and a bit years, come up for 12 and a half years, would be a waste of time. And secondly, if I back down, these people would come after me like a pack of wolves. They're choking to come for me, but they can't because I'm so public and I'm waking people up massively.
I had that where I was asked, because I was doing some filming, like I was saying, I was doing some filming somewhere down in Worthing it was, and I was filming something that happened, an incident that happened. And I was filming it and to make a bit of a story about what actually happened. And then I was asked to go for a volunteer interview where they were claiming that I was trying to intimidate a witness or something like that. And I said, yeah, well, okay, prove it like that. So when I went down for this volunteer, I went down there, I said, I'm here, blah, 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 blah. And I went down to the, and they kept me waiting in the foyer for over an hour. And I actually turned around and said to the desk sergeant, I said, look, your people in the cells are getting better treatment than I am because at least you're offering them a fucking drink of water. I said, I've stood here for over an hour and you've not even offered me a fucking something to wet my fucking lips, a drink of any sort like that. And you've asked me, and I've done everything that you asked me to do because it's a volunteer, really. When they did eventually turn up, they read me my rights. They expected me to stand in front of the desk sergeant and then speak. And I thought, hang on a minute, have you not read me my rights? And I said, so under your rights that you've read me, do I not, under your rights, stand that anything I say may be used in the court of law against me, blah, 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 and I have the right to remain silent. I said, the next person I will speak to is the duty solicitor. If he's going to work for you or if he's going to work for me, that'll be another fucking case. And I never said another word. So when the duty solicitor got there, and I said to the duty solicitor, they claim they got evidence. Let's see the evidence. We went into the room. I let the duty solicitor speak. Says, where's the evidence that you've got? They couldn't find any evidence. But they tried to take my liberty away to try and teach you a lesson. Right? They bang you up for so many hours or as long as they can get away with it. Right? And then they give you an NFA.
The thing with me, Alan, is when they come for me, they come on a Friday night between 10 and 11, and I'm lying into the Monday. they always come for me at the weekend. They like to keep me on the weekend.
Yeah, bastards.
They're just a pain in the ass.
That's a trick that I used to do years ago when I was homeless, when I was sleeping rough and I was on the streets and stuff like that. I'd put a brick for a window so I'd get nicked on a Friday night, get a meal on a Friday evening, get a meal on a Saturday, get a meal on a Sunday, and wouldn't go to court. And 9 times out of 10, all right, you could get away with it so long before they probably incarcerate you, but you could get away with it probably more than you actually fucking people realise.
What you're saying there is a true fact, Alan. I'll tell you what, to finish off, right, a good few years back, a man went to court and he pleaded with the judge to lock him up because that's exactly what he did. He put a short window in, right? I don't know how he did it, but he did it. And he was arguing with the judge that he wanted locked up because it was winter time and the guy was homeless, as you say, right? So they says, you know, you're getting bailed. You know, you're not getting locked up. You're getting bailed. You come back for trial, right? So they get him bail. What did he go and do? He went back to the same shop and put the window in again. That way he was incarcerated, so he had to stay in right to January. He get 3 months. He ended up getting 3 months for criminal damage. Just to get a fee of washing a shave in the bed.
You're right, Rob. likes of you or I would probably go like that, put our hands behind our fucking head and just sleep it off. What else can you fucking do? You're not going to get out of there. You know, they got the key, you haven't got the key. At the end of the day, you don't say nothing, even if they come in there and ask you to come for an interview or that. I don't play that game. I fucking do me bird, I do me porridge, and that's it. Whatever they want to fucking sling at me, if the mud don't fucking fit, I won't have it.
I know it's just intimidation. It's to get you back down and break you. But it's people like ourselves, we're strong. We know what's going on. We know how to deal with it, and we stand tall.
The system's adversely been corrupt from day dot. From the moment the fucking judge looked down at me in court and said, "Would you like to go to the fucking seaside?" I knew that symbolism behind him of the unicorn and the lion and the crown were there lying to a fucking child, and would be lying to that child for the rest of his fucking life.
Exactly, Alan. Exactly, mate.
Thank you very much,
just
Robert.
paid liars. Every one of the legal systems are paid liar. That's a fact. Yeah. You cannot be trusted. I hope you come on
again, and then if you send me a link there, people can follow you. I will give you a copy of the show later on, and I will make sure you get it, and I'll send it to you. And all I can do is say thank you, Robert. Keep up your brilliant and sturdy work, because you're an absolutely phenomenal bloke, and I've got nothing but love and respect for you, man.
I would just like to say, Alan, it's been a great privilege to be the opportunity to speak on your show, and I would also like to thank the people that's watched and listened and give me the opportunity to be heard. It's very much appreciated. I tell you the truth. I tell you how it is. Sometimes people don't like the truth, but that's just the way it is. You better get the truth from me than lies from them.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Robert. Thank you to everybody in chat. Charles and Spencer, Spearthrower. I think I saw Sonia, Roy, Kim. Quite a few of you in there were in the chat. 7 or 8 of you at one stage. Thank you to every single one of you. I will share the show out. And thank you to everybody. Even Charles has turned around and said, "Nice show, Alan." And thank you, Robert. And then Spearthrower has put a link in for the after show. If you go into the chat and see the blue hyperlink that Spears put in, click on that blue link and that'll take you into the after show, where you can go in there and join Spearthrower, and you can all like-minded people can have a chat and fill their ears and speak and whatever. But also, I want to be able to do something with Robert and put Robert's views across there, because and I'll actually probably put, if you send me a video that you really want me to put out there, I can give numbers to it, Robert. If there's a particular video that you really want out there that shows and highlights everything about you. And all I can do, Robert, and thank you so much, aka Robert Spall, everybody. Thank you very much, Rob.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you very much.